Hi, this is Christa at the Secret Yarnery. Today we're making this super easy crochet berry garland. This pattern works up so quick and easy because we're using 2 strands of a worsted weight acrylic. You can use any yarn at all, just double strands, and it goes really, really quick. All you need to do is chains and double crochets, and you can make it for any holiday at all or any decor. It would look super cute in a kid's bedroom or a nursery in whatever colors you'd like. Even a variegated yarn would be so beautiful in this pattern. So don't be limited to holidays. It can be used any time of year at all. It is so cute. If you'd like to follow along with a written pattern, it is available over on my website, secretyarnery.com. There's a link to that in the description box down below as well. What you're going to need for this pattern is some worsted weight acrylic. I'm using Saver 100 from Ice Yarns. It's just a regular 4-weight acrylic. So this is 100 grams and 175 meters. And I'll be using a 6mm hook and 2 strands of yarn for this tutorial. So that's it. That's all you need. Let's get started. Start by using 2 strands of yarn at a time. So you can go from the center of your skein and also the outside, or use 2 balls at the same time. So we're going to start by making a slip knot, leaving a long enough tail to sew in those ends with a needle later. Shrink it down and put it onto your hook. Chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, and 10. So now we're going to work into the 3rd chain from our hook. To count your chains, you don't count what is on your hook, you just count these V's underneath. So there's 1, 2, and 3. We're going to go into this 3rd chain, just the bottom part. So I'm going to go right on top of that lower loop, so I get most of that chain on the top part of my hook. Wrap your yarn, we're going to do a cluster stitch, so we're going to start our double crochet. So push your hook into that 3rd chain, grab your yarn and bring it back, kind of pull your hook up so you get some space there, and wrap your yarn and take off 2. So leave that on your hook. That just started our double crochet. Now we're going to start 3 more double crochets. So wrap your yarn and into the same chain, grab your yarn and bring it back, pull your hook up a bit to give yourself some extra yarn, wrap your yarn and take off 2 loops. So we have 3 loops on our hook, and we're going to do it again. So wrap your yarn into the same spot, grab your yarn and bring it back, pull your hook up to give yourself some space, wrap your yarn and take off 2. So we have 4 stitches on our hook. We're going to do it one more time. So wrap your yarn into the same stitch, grab your yarn and bring it back, pull your hook up a bit, wrap your yarn and take off 2 loops. So now we have 5 stitches on our hook. Wrap your yarn, turn your hook so that hook part is facing down, or the bottom of your stitches, and bring it through all of those loops. Chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to do another stitch, exactly the same, another cluster stitch, right into this loop that is holding all of those stitches together. Just this first big loop at the bottom, right there. So wrap your yarn and go into that first chain. Grab your yarn and bring it back, wrap your yarn and take off 2. So that's our first double crochet started. And we'll do it again. So wrap your yarn into the same stitch, grab your yarn and bring it back, wrap your yarn and take off 2, leaving that on your hook. So we have 3 stitches on our hook. We need a total of 5 stitches on our hook. So keep going, starting your double crochets and leaving them on your hook until you have 5. So here is our 4th stitch on our hook, or our 3rd double crochet that we started. And now we're going to start our last one. So same thing, wrap your yarn and go in, wrap your yarn and take off 2, leaving the rest of it on your hook. Now we have 5 stitches on our hook, or 5 loops, 10 if you count the strands of yarn. Wrap your yarn, turn your hook so it's facing down, and drag it through all of those loops. Now we're going to slip stitch right onto the opposite side. So right into this big chain here, this big stitch. We're going to go straight into that spot and make a slip stitch. So you want to use some tension. You don't want a big slip stitch. You want all your stitches pinched together, and put your hook into the other side, the opposite side, and make one little slip stitch. So turn your hook and bring it through, and that lines up both of those clusters to make a little pom-pom, a cute little berry. And still using tension, I want that to be nice and tight. Chain 1 and then chain the other 19. So 1 tight chain and then 19 regular chains. So there's my number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 19, and 20. So it looks like this cute little berry sitting on our yarn. We're going to do the same thing, working into the 3rd chain from the hook. So we don't count what's on our chain, we count these V's underneath. So there's 1, 2, and 3. We're just going to wiggle our hook right on top of that bottom loop. So we have most of that chain on the top part of our hook. And we're going to do our cluster. So we're going to start 4 double crochets. So wrap your yarn and into the 3rd chain from the hook, start your 4 double crochets. So bring your yarn back, wrap your yarn, and take off 2. Remember to pull up your hook if you need some more space. Wrap your yarn, start your 2nd double crochet, but leaving it on your hook. Start your 3rd double crochet into the same stitch, leaving it on your hook, and start your 4th double crochet into the very same stitch. Pull your hook up to make sure all those loops are the same kind of height. Wrap your yarn and take off 2. So now we have our 5 stitches on our hook. Wrap your yarn, turn your hook so hook side is facing down, and bring it through all of those loops. Chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to do the 2nd side of that berry. So we're going to work our cluster stitch. We're going to start our 4 double crochets right into the very first chain, right where all of those stitches started from. So wrap your yarn and start 4 double crochets. So start your 1st double crochet and leave it on your hook. Start your 2nd double crochet and leave it on your hook. Start your 3rd double crochet and leave it on your hook, and start your 4th double crochet and leave it on your hook. So now there's 5 loops of yarn on your hook. Wrap your yarn, turn your hook so the hook is facing down, and drag it through all of those stitches. Now leave it just like that, leave it open. We're going to jump over to the opposite side and slip stitch right into that big hole at the top, right where all of the other stitches started from on our 1st cluster. Get some tension on that yarn. We want to do a nice little tight slip stitch, just like that. And that lines up our sides really nice. So now chain 20 to get to your next berry. 1, 2, 3. So now our work looks like this. We have 2 berries complete. Our chain 20 is done. So we'll do 1 more berry together. So working into the 3rd chain from your hook. So you don't count what's on your hook. You just count these V's underneath. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Into the 3rd chain from your hook, just keeping most of that stitch on the top part of your hook. So wrap your yarn into the 3rd chain from your hook. Start 4 double crochets. There's our 1st double crochet, leaving it on the hook. Start your 2nd double crochet, leaving it on the hook. Start your 3rd double crochet, leaving it on the hook, and start your 4th double crochet, leaving it on your hook. So there's 5 stitches on our hook. Wrap your yarn, tip your hook so it's facing down, and drag it through all of those loops. Chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. So now we're going to make our 2nd cluster, the 2nd side of the pom-pom. So wrap your yarn, and we're going to be working right into that very first chain, right where it's holding all of that yarn together. So wrap your yarn and start 4 double crochets. So here's my first double crochet, leaving it on the hook. Start your second double crochet, leaving it on your hook. Start your third double crochet, leaving it on your hook. And if your cluster stitches get a bit tight, just remember to pull up your hook. So when you go in and you bring it back, pull it up first so all those stitches feel the same, and then take off 2. So there is your 4. You can pull it up again now too to make sure they're kind of, the loops are the same length. That'll help your hook slide through. So now there's 5 stitches left on my hook. Wrap your yarn, point your hook so it's facing down, and bring it through all of those loops. Now leaving all of that open, we're going to slip stitch to the opposite side. The same spot on the opposite side, like a little butterfly. So put your hook in and make 1 little slip stitch. So use some tension, pull on your yarn. You want that to be nice and closed, and even a nice tight chain 1 can help right now. And there is your third berry. So keep going, chaining 20 and making your berry all the way along until your garland is the length that you would like it to be. When your garland is the length you want it to be, just finish off your last bubble, your last berry, and chain 11. 1, 2, 3, 9, 10, 11. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn out and snug that down to secure. If you're going to be hanging your garland up on the wall, you can cut your tails long enough to use as ties. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'd love to see yours. You can tag me over on Instagram at Secret Yarnery, or on Facebook, The Secret Yarnery, or our group, The Secret Yarnery Crochet Community. Love to see how yours turned out, what yarn you picked, and what project you made it for. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and the notification bell beside that so you don't miss out on any other cool, fast, easy tutorials just like this. Thanks so much for hooking along. We'll see you in the next video, and stay hooked.